Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 5. So in this week's episode of The Flash, we will have Caitlin joined by Cisco and Barry continuing the search for her father following on from the revelations in episode 5. The week after that, we will have the Thanksgiving episode, which does seem that it will be giving us sort of like a full-on or at least half of the origin story for Cicada, complete with flashbacks. But it is the week after the Thanksgiving episode, that being episode 8, that has been one of my most anticipated episodes since not just the beginning of this season or just before it, but since, well, really when Arrow had this special occasion, and that is of course the 100th episode. Episode 8 of this season will be the Flash's 100th episode in total, which is an amazing achievement that not many American TV shows reach due to, Hollywood just being, being a pretty, cutthroat business. And seeing that the following week after the 100th episode is the Elseworlds crossover between The Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl, like, oh boy, we are in for one hell of a fortnight. But just quickly, at the end of this video, I will be doing a giveaway for one of those new Flash Funko Pops, so if you are interested in possibly winning one of them, stick around till the end of the video to find out how you can do that. But in this video, we are going to be going over the official synopsis or description for the 100th episode, as that was actually dropped online within like the past 24 hours roughly, as well as breaking all of it down and going over everything we know so far about this episode, and what it could introduce to lead into the back half of this season. As this episode will also serve as the mid-season finale for Season 5, as we will move into the crossover and then the mid-season break until late January. But yeah, the episode will be called What's Past is Prologue, which is actually a quotation from William Shakespeare himself, and essentially means that all that has happened before that time, aka the past, has led the person in question to this particular opportunity to do what they are about to do, whatever that might be. And in the synopsis, we get a suggestion of all of that. So let's read that synopsis out now. In the 100th episode, Barry and Team Flash come up with a plan to stop Cicada. However, the plan calls for Barry and Nora to travel back in time to gather some key necessities. However, Barry hesitates, concerned about his daughter seeing certain parts of his life. Meanwhile, Sherlock takes his concerns about Nora to Iris, and Caitlin turns up a key asset in the fight against Cicada. So, just wow. If that doesn't get you excited, then I don't know what will. Man, this is the Flash stuff you really want to see on screen, and I really can't wait to see it all go down in just a few weeks' time. But yeah, let's jump into everything in that synopsis. There's a decent amount to go over, but do leave your thoughts in the comment section down below regarding all of this. I'm sure most people have a few things to say about this episode, so I'm looking forward to see what everyone has to say and what everyone's thinking. So the first thing to go over is that Cicada plays a role in the 100th episode. There was a big question about, would episode 7 sort of be his last episode? Maybe not in the entire show, but at least for the first half of the season. Then episode 8 would be its own self-contained story, because I think we all knew that they were going to do something. They were going to do something, involving time travel. But how were they going to work Cicada into that if they were going to bring him into the episode? But seeing that it says that the team comes up with a plan to stop Cicada that's going to involve time travel, does that mean that Cicada will be taken down this episode? Now, it wouldn't be a surprise if he was. I mean, this is the mid-season finale, technically, for the current story before we move into the crossover. So if they wanted to, they could end his story here. It's hard to tell at this moment because we really don't know what they're going to do with Cicada in episode 6 and episode 7. That would maybe set up him finally being taken down now in episode 8. But they sort of are suggesting it, but they're definitely not confirming it. Essentially, what could happen in this episode could just introduce some stuff that maybe makes Cicada even more powerful moving into the back half. So it's either going to be they're taking him down or something happens that makes him even more powerful. I think one of the two. But Barry and Nora are going to have to time travel to gather some key necessities. So hold on, what will they be getting? Is it going to be some information? Is it going to be similar to when Barry traveled back in time in season 2, the whole tachyon thing to get faster back to season 1's time and was hanging out there just to get some sort of information in the formula? Was that what was going on? Are we going to get something similar to that? Or are they going to be going back in time and maybe gathering some items to use in the future against Cicada? Is that maybe what's going on? Or are they going to be going back and getting specific people to come to the future and possibly take some people down, that person being Cicada? And really, when you think about it, it could be all three. It could be some information, some items, and maybe 1 or 2 people. It literally could be all three if they wanted to do that. I can't wait to see what happens here because obviously I think we all have issues with time travel sometimes on The Flash. Sometimes they do it a bit messy, and sometimes the show makes it a cardinal sin to time travel, but now they're using it because it's going to help them. But I'm really interested to see like what necessarily they have to go back and get, because off the top of my head, I can't necessarily think of an item that they can go and get that would just, completely go up against Cicada. So it almost seems like it could be information, but if you have any suggestions for what it could be, do let me know in the comments section down below, because I'm extremely curious. But due to them time traveling, this is obviously going to allow them to bring in characters from the past that are no longer with us. So we already know that Zoom is going to be coming back. The voice actor, might I say, for Zoom, that being Tony Todd, confirmed that Zoom is back. And he also said that some other speedsters will be back, and they're all after a piece of Barry. So you'd have to think at least two characters that will 100% come back other than Zoom are Savitar, because they can easily use the CGI version of Savitar, which would be extremely cheap. Wouldn't cost them much, so it's an easy thing to put in the episode. And also you would think Reverse Flash, because it's Reverse Flash. Would be extremely weird if Reverse Flash did not appear in the 100th episode of The Flash, so you'd have to expect him to definitely be there. Obviously, some other past villains and characters could show up. There were some misconceptions about characters coming back into the 100th episode because a lunchbox was given to the various cast members of The Flash, which had like all these different characters on it. That's just characters from the past. They've already confirmed that that's nothing about the 100th episode story, so don't look into that too much. So I wouldn't expect DeVoe, like Amina Black was on the lunchbox, she won't be in this episode. As I said, like Savitar, Reverse Flash, and Zoom would have to be the ones you definitely expect back. But you never know who could be there. Maybe one or two of the rogues, maybe Captain Cold, who knows, he could be in there, that'd be pretty cool. But, they can do whatever they want. I'd expect those three at least to definitely be there. But time travel opens up many, 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 many different doors, so who knows who will be showing up. But we do see that Barry is sort of hesitant on time traveling, as he doesn't want Nora to see certain parts of his past. But what could, that necessarily be? Like, I can't really think of too much off the top of my head that, like, Barry would be too embarrassed about. Like, that wouldn't be in the Flash Museum. So, unless it's personal stuff, but even then, I can't really think of too much that, Barry would be too ashamed of. Like, it maybe could be stuff that just happened off screen that we don't know about. If you have any suggestions for what necessarily Barry would be a bit hesitant on showing Nora, feel free to let me know in the comments. But a lot of stuff would be like recorded history, whether it be like, Joe and Iris would know about it, or it would be in the Flash Museum for stuff that the Flash did. So, yeah, I'm sort of curious as to what Barry wouldn't want to show Nora, unless it's stuff to do like, Zoom turning into Black Flash. Maybe Barry caused that, or like at least led to it. Maybe stuff with Savitar. It's sort of confusing, so I'm sort of intrigued to learn more about that. But as I said, if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments what you think. Now, one thing that happened a couple of episodes ago was that end scene with Sherlock being a bit suspicious about Nora, which definitely suggested and opened up the doors that Nora was working with someone in the future. And in this episode, they are going to follow on with that. So Sherlock has suspicions on Nora, they're growing, and will go to her mother to, sort of bring some stuff up. And the thing with this is that this could be the big twist for the episode. So Todd Helbing, the showrunner for The Flash, or the executive producer, did say that this episode will have a massive twist that will lead into the back half of the season and sort of change the show in this season's story in a fairly big way. And I think this could be it. I think we are going to find out who Nora is working with, and I think it's going to be part Sherlock and part Nora and Barry. So whatever their storyline is, I think it'll meet in the middle. And we'll find out what necessarily is going on with Nora and who she was working with in the future. And I think it might be possibly the cliffhanger, or it just could be revealed towards the end of the episode. I'd like to think it's the cliffhanger, but it could just be towards the end of the episode, either or. Obviously, the big suggestion is that she's working with Reverse Flash. I think that'd be pretty cool. It's the hot tip. I think like 90% of people are suggesting that. But if you have any other suggestions as to who Nora could be working with, or who she's influenced by in the future, let me know in the comments. But I think that could be the big twist in this episode. And I think it's a twist that would be worthy of the 100th episode. Now, it does say that Caitlin turns up a key asset for the fight against Cicada. So is this possibly Killer Frost? Because this week's episode, that being episode 6, is a big, Killer Frost origin, her father episode. So maybe some stuff happens in this episode that leads into episode 7, and then eventually episode 8, the 100th episode, about Killer Frost, and maybe she's able to do stuff with that. Or it could possibly be just information in present day that's going to help them along with the stuff that Barry and Nora are after. It's hard to tell. It's pretty vague, but I wouldn't mind seeing Killer Frost back, especially seeing it's the 100th episode. And also, I think Killer Frost is in the Elseworlds crossover, so it might be a good time to bring her back. But yeah, let me know what you think of that in the comments. Tom Cavanagh will be directing this episode, who of course plays all the Harrison Welleses. Now, the fact that he's directing the episode might limit Reverse Flash, but who knows who could be showing up. You never know. Matt Letcher could be back as Reverse Flash, and he's been keeping it a massive secret. This 100th episode has been a massive secret. Like, the filming for this was secret. We only saw one outdoor scene filming for this entire episode, and it was actually when they're on break. They actually weren't even filming. All we know in this episode is that Barry will be wearing the Flash ring, so I'm guessing they figure out how to get the suit back in there. So there's really not much known about this episode. Really, the fact that Tony Todd spore that Zoom was going to be in this episode was crazy, because no one would have known that. It wasn't confirmed. So this could be like a ridiculous amount of surprises, and I think they've kept filming secret and done a lot of it indoors for a reason. So I can't wait, because I think it's going to be surprises from every single angle, and who knows who could be returning for this week's episode, for that episode, might I say, the 100th episode. So I cannot wait. But let's jump into the giveaway. So as I said, it's for one of the new Flash Funko Pops that came out recently. So I'll be giving one of these away. Whoever wins can just choose whichever one they want, whether it's Flash, Kid Flash, Jay Garrick, or Vibe. You have your choice. To be answered, all you have to do is leave a like on the video, be subscribed to the channel, and let me know in the comments, what are you looking forward to most in the 100th episode? A pretty simple question, pretty simple answer, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, leave a like, be subscribed, and answer that question in the comment section down below. And then, yeah, you're entered. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. As I said, let me know all of your different opinions and stuff like that in the comment section down below. And until next video, I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.